I'm assuming that you guys hung out prior to, you guys know each other socially before shooting a film like this. And so, was it easier to work with somebody that you have like a kind of friendship with, or is it more difficult because then you don't take it as seriously? I don't know.
Well, one of the things that I think was really helpful is that Paul and I have done 3 movies together and hung out, and we kind of know each other's comedic rhythms, and we had developed a real trust that if one of us was bobbling the ball, the other would come, pick it up, and we kind of knew how to set each other up well, how to throw the lob so the other could dunk it. Not that you could ever dunk.
I can't dunk. No, you can clearly dunk. I can barely even do a layup.
My nickname in high school was Dr. Dunk.
My nickname in high school was the Scrabblist. I think that way of working is the fact that we knew each other was a benefit.
Speaking of Scrabblist, there's so many choice words and terms that came out of your lips, and I'm just wondering if they were just things that you had pre-thought, or these things are these natural.
No, the only thing that was thought out was that I had thought out was one was in a rehearsal before we started shooting the movie was Jobin, where I call him Jobin.
So weird, right?
And then City Slicker was in the script. When I try to give the name City Slicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was in the script, but all the other things, like all the other, nicknames or colloquialisms were not thought up. In fact, they were I didn't even, but as I said them, I didn't know what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So that in hopes it would seem even more pathetic.
You know what my favorite one is? All right, I'll see you there, or I'll see you at another time.
See you on another time.
On another time, that's right.
So what is it? See you there. I'll see you on another time.
You might have started a trend among people, because people are going to quote this film, and so you might have started this trend of awkward choice phrases. This is a revolution of uncomfortable.
Paul's been trying to start that trend in life since the day he was born.
Literally since my teenage years. I'll be so happy if it finally catches on.
You're in. To work on a script like this, do you find as you get older that it is more difficult to hang out with your guy friends and to make new friends that you can kind of
you should probably answer this question.
Being an older guy?
Yeah.
I do think, I think it's an individual thing. I think some people, I've been able to have nice friends my whole life, and it hasn't been too hard to make friends. But my social circle is smaller now, for sure, as I've gotten older, and I'm married, and now I have a kid. And, so I'm just not in the settings anymore where, I'm meeting a bunch of people. But I think it does come a little trickier, and my dad, I think of like my father, and it's when he was a kid in high school, and then like he had buddies, but then I would always remember whenever he would go out or do something and my parents would go do something, it was my mom that was kind of setting the whole social agenda, and he had no buddies anymore. So I think that's representative of a lot of guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I lived with my best friend for the past few years, which was awesome, and then he left. I was very sad. But I've been lucky to get to work with, a lot of the same people over and over again, Paul, for example, and so our friendships have really developed. On this movie, I felt like I made a really new close friend.
Lou Ferrigno.
Yes.
Nice. Actually, I just got to ask that. What was it like to have somebody like the Hulk, which, I mean, all of us kind of grew up watching this guy on the set, and,
Well, you felt like a kid in a candy store, it was just really, really exciting.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, Lou Ferrigno, I'm older than you, so I don't.
No.
Yeah, I am. So I don't know if this is quite. When I was a little kid, though, Lou Ferrigno was like the guy. All of my friends, we were all just huge Hulk fans, and so to meet him, I felt like I was a little kid again. Like that kind of idolatry still exists. You just think, wow, oh my God, it's Lou Ferrigno. And Rush, too. There was another thing.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah. What is this? Because in Asia, we don't really know Rush as well. So I'm just wondering what...
Rush isn't huge in Asia?
Well, tell me more about this Rush you speak of.
Is the band Asia huge in Asia?
Unfortunately, no.
Wow.
Well, Asia's not really even big here anymore. But Rush isn't even so popular. Rush was kind of a time. It was a very male-centric band.
Yeah.
Women just don't love 12-minute drum solos in songs about trees.
And do you?
I do.
I became acquainted with Rush during Freaks and Geeks, where my character was a huge Rush fan. So that's where I learned my love of Rush. Yeah, I was a little too young to have them be, sort of my contemporary. Let me just say, to go back to your question about Lou
But back
Ferrigno,
in the 1930s,
Well, yeah.
when I was first.
how you felt about Lou Ferrigno on set was a lot about like how I felt about Paul. It was just very exciting for me to get to work with one of my childhood idols.
Yeah.
Press must be so good these past couple of days to like have him idol you. You know.
It's interesting, and I know this because you grew up a fan of the Silence.
I did.
And that was where you first discovered me.
Yes, Paul. I remember seeing Paul Rudd fights Frankenstein, just thinking this guy is a genius.
Yeah. Well, we did. I remember when it was Chaplin and I had just finished Great Dictator.
You mentored Chaplin.
Well, I won't say. I wouldn't put it that way. It sounds a little. Charlie. We learned from each other.
Right.
Let's just put it that way.
Sure.
But it was so fun to. You know what was fun about actually seeing this movie when it was all done, was seeing myself in a movie where you could actually hear dialogue as opposed to somebody sitting in the corner of the theater playing a piano. that was fun.
Last question then. One of the nice things about this, when I was talking to Rashida, it's like, I think you may have started this kind of dialogue between men and women, because like people were saying, well, women, because there's a sequence where you kind of encounter these girls talking about these really serious, well, they're just opening up, and it turns out women do say more than men sometimes, and so people were talking about this. Like, is it true? Do you think? I mean, what's your take on?
Well,
on
that was our goal in making this film, was to open up a dialogue between men and women, and finally kind of bridge this chasm that's existed between us for, since the beginning of time, since Adam and Eve.
This film could fix that.
That's what we're hoping.
Finally, when you got to say the words "I love you, man," it feels like it's like the word from Casablanca. It's like these kind of. So, was it a momentous moment for you guys to kind of
to actually say it? I felt, because I felt as if we'd been saying it all along without actually saying it.
Yeah.
So how was it? How was it for you when I told you that I loved you?
For me, it was the culmination of a long effort to become friends with Paul. I didn't know how he felt about me, and then one day it just came out. It was really nice, actually.
Yeah, and then when Jason said it to me, I felt as if I'd run a long race for a small trophy.
And we'll end at that. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks a
much,
lot.
man.